Hey everyone, it's Byron again, here to testify for Jesus Christ. I just walking past this little pool here, I thought it was a neat little scene, thought maybe it would be nice for a little backdrop, maybe enjoy some fall colors, and a crystal clear and smooth pool of water. It's just off the bank of the Mississippi. Mississippi's right over there. This is some water that basically gets trapped at flood stage, and nice little place. I like the looks of it. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this is a dream that I actually had earlier today. Today is November the 28th of 2014, and I'm going to tie it to some things I've seen earlier in dreams. So I'm going to go over a couple of little key points real quick, and then I'll go into this dream. I'm not going to cover all the details. I'm going to cover kind of what it looked like was happening in the dream. But first of all, just a couple of days ago, I was talking to a person. They were mentioning that how dead bones come to life, talking about right now the world is full of dead Christians and how these bones could come back to life. Well, I mentioned to that person that, in the past year in dreams, I've seen 5 different people who I know are clearly dead in this world, but they were alive and doing work. And some of the types of work that they were doing was they were so determined it had to be just right, had to be just exact. Saw 2 men working on the roof of a house. They did not even want to substitute maybe the wrong shingles to put on the roof just to get the roof back on. They were willing to special order, have them shipped in, and do the repairs on the roof. It gave me the impression that there are Christians today who just any old way they want to go about their life. It's fine, but they're going to wake up or come to life, and then they're going to want to do things exactly right. And when I say exactly right, I'm not talking about following the letter of the law. I'm talking about following the Spirit. God directing, God doing, God working through us. So that's the kind of the little background that I wanted to get. But maybe one other thing on the background is there's 2 different locations referenced in this dream. One location is a location that I have never dreamed about that was bad. In fact, one of the dreams I was in that location, or in a room in that location, or from that location, and Jesus appeared to me in the dream. The other location that was also referenced in this dream was a location where I've seen nothing but bad. Russian soldiers, people being rounded up for persecution, execution, things like that. So you have the light and darkness, or good things and bad things, both referenced in this one dream that I'm about to cover. The one I'm about to cover actually was I was leaving my grandparents' house. Now both my grandparents, grandfather and mother, had passed away. And I was leaving the house that they last lived in when they passed away. And as I was leaving, I told my wife, Leanne, she was with me, told her, I said, I just want to stop in this old house. Now, in real life, the old house no longer exists. If you go there, you would never even know anything existed there. One flat piece of ground. But in this dream, the house was there. I said, I want to go into this old house. And the house was, during the period that I'm referring to of the last years of the house, run down. Not only just run down like, of someone not living there, but even if someone had been living there, there was some serious repairs that were going to have to be made to maintain the house. But again, like I said, the house doesn't exist, but in the dream, it was there. But here's the thing that's interesting about that house that I went into during the dream. When I opened the door and went in, I began to see that the house had upgrades to the point that I didn't even recognize the rooms on the first floor. And I realized in the house itself, there's not a second floor, there's an attic. In the old one, it was just stuff thrown up there. In this one, I'll get to. But things were in better working order. Rooms had been rearranged, paneling on the walls, a very nice looking place. It looked like somebody had just said, hey, go over to my house and watch the game. I'll be in Birmingham, or something like that. So we walked in, but we did begin to work on the house, and I hooked up I got the end of a hose that I used to use in my in carpet cleaning. It's a hose that hooks up to a carpet cleaning machine. There's a hose that does the suction, and then a pressure hose that provides the water and cleaning solution to the wand that you're cleaning with. I was using that on a vent in the house, and I asked my wife to hook it up, and she hooked it up somehow into the wall. And I thought after I woke up from this dream, I sold that cleaning equipment to a corrupt preacher, and somehow I, in this dream, had back in possession. So there's two things that are history in the past: the house, and also the cleaning equipment for doing the house, that are now back in active working order. As we continued to look, I noticed a piece of paper that she and I had written on had been somehow, maybe by suction, force of air, whatever, stuck up against the wall. And when we pulled on it, we noticed there was a hole in the wall, and it was in a little metal frame with some writing on it. The hole is almost like the metal had rusted a little bit. There was a space there, and when my wife or I've forgotten exactly which one of us pulled on it, when we did move it, the paper went into that hole, and then it stuck against the roof, or the interior of the upstairs, just up against the roof, like the wind had just forced it against the roof. And I noticed, well, that's new. And then I thought to myself, I wonder what the upstairs looks like. So I began to somehow get up to the door that led into the upstairs. My wife found the staircase that I didn't even know existed, something new added to the house. Went up there, opened it up, and it was an apartment style upstairs. Like someone could actually live there. I even thought, well, I could live here. But pictures on the wall were from my aunts, all the way back maybe in the 50s and 60s. So I could tell no one else lived up here. It's all the same house. The people that occupied it are the people I know, my grandparents and her family, their family. But now it's suddenly back to life. I decided to walk outside for some reason. I walked outside. I saw we had left our dogs in the car, but right adjacent to where we had parked our car was a parking lot, and it was a public parking lot with many vehicles in it. And there was people standing around talking around. I walked up, this one man, I remember him in particular, he had a beard that had been curled. So, many strands of hair were curled down in his beard. I thought that was odd. And some other people were walking by, and they said, "Do you guys know where a restroom is?" And he said, "Yeah, just follow this path and go around the corner, and there's a restroom over there." So I looked in the direction that he was pointing, and it was a public path right through the backyard of the house that I mentioned. But when I looked at the back of the house, I walked around, I'm like, oh my goodness. It looked like something that you would actually put in a magazine. Like they have these magazines, they highlight, designs and things that you would, interior decorating or exterior landscaping, stuff like that. It looked so good that, you could have taken a picture of the old house that is not even there, and it would have been presentable in a modern day setting in a magazine for advertisement or whatever. But one spot in the wall of this house contained the siding from the other house, the house where I've seen nothing but bad things taking place. Later I woke up from the dream. I don't know how much more actually transpired, but that's just trying to give you a feel for what I experienced. Less than 2 minutes after I woke up from the dream, and I got to tell you, this is my modus operandi. This is how I operate. When I wake up from a dream, initially I'm like, well, what was that? And then I sit there and I ponder points and this and that. And occasionally, and not all the time, but occasionally, something comes to mind. And I'd think, well, I didn't make that thought up. It just popped in my head. And what popped into my head shortly afterwards was the fact that the house that had been destroyed, gone, totally invisible, had been rebuilt. And my wife and I were going to help clean up a house that maybe people on the street, the guy with the beard and people passing by or whatever, could occupy. And then I thought, well, that's probably referring to the church. Previously in dreams, I have seen that a revival is coming. And this one seemed to also represent a rebuilding. I've shared with a buddy of mine years now, the foundations of the faith in Jesus Christ have been destroyed. People think that God is someone that you say you believe in, Jesus Christ is someone that you use as a key to getting into heaven, and everything else outside of those two aspects have nothing to do with them. They go about living their lives. They think like the college told them to think. They think like the professor over here said, like the teacher over there said, etc. They get through their life in a carnal means. But if you were to challenge them, bam, no, man, I believe in Jesus Christ. The gospel, the simplicity of the gospel is a little more than that. And that is that you follow Christ after accepting Christ as Lord of your life. The Holy Spirit guides you, teaches you, brings you into the knowledge of all truth, shows you things that maybe you weren't aware of, shows you things that are coming in the future. Maybe God speaks to you. You know, one day I was going to the doctor. God said, shortly before I was getting ready to leave, said, do what the doctor said. Okay? So there's more to this than merely going to church, saying you believe in God, singing a song, walking out of the church, talking about the football games, what you did last Saturday night, and things like that. That Paul actually wrote a letter to carnal Christians. And that is exactly kind of the things that he addressed. Paul even said, I can't even speak to you like I'd like to speak to you. I have to speak to you like a man so that you can even understand what I'm trying to say. It's very true. Those things are happening today. You know what is spiritual? People that are spiritual can understand. What is carnal, they don't even really care about. But the opposite is true on the flip side. Who is carnal? They don't understand the spiritual, nor do they even care. So the two don't mix. So anyway, I wanted to share that. And I guess my main purpose behind sharing that is that perhaps there's somebody out there, you're hurting. You look around you and you see that this world is falling apart. But not only do you see that this world is falling apart, but you see that really the gospel of Jesus Christ is falling apart. You see that there's no simple faith in Christ for everything. You see that your schools are being destroyed, your government is being destroyed, all these things. And I can tell you, there's people in the world that are going to come in to destroy. But I can't tell you is that that's not also a judgment from God because you haven't made Jesus Christ Lord of your life. That's very simple, very plain put, but that's how it is. There's a movement in this country right now to hate things that are going on and rise up and do this and do that and all that stuff. I can simply tell you, God has shown me all man's effort will not stop the judgment of God. All man's good intentions are not going to stop the judgment of God. The United States, potentially more areas of the world, probably most of the world anyway, but the United States in particular, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, is under judgment. The house that you have now, very possibly a couple, 3 years from now, will no longer be your house. The life that you have now, very possibly a couple, 3 years from now, will no longer be your life. Either in the physical, whereas you are dead because of those that are coming to clean this planet up and this country up, or that you no longer have the life that you had. More or less you're a prisoner or a slave to a new world order. So these things are coming, these things are happening, but I wanted to also tell you that there's a bright side to this, because I believe that the Lord is going to use individuals like yourself, like me, who are no one to anyone in this whole entire planet to do his work. So keep the faith, keep on persisting, keep on moving, keep on begging the Lord to lead you, keep on being weak so that you can be strong, and we'll wait this thing out, and the Lord's going to do great things from that. Unfortunately, this place has to be cleaned up. Unfortunately, churches have to be cleaned up. Unfortunately, pastors have to be ejected who are in there for the money, and God will do that. So that's my little thoughts beside the reflective pool there. So you all have a great day. I'll be back soon. I continue on. The Lord showed me that if I share my thoughts, some of the horses that are out there going their own way, which you read about in Jeremiah chapter 8, may turn around. And I pray that you will. I can tell you that there's many other people praying that you will. Nothing, nothing worse than to have your eyes opened by God and seeing blind people madly running right into the battle they can't win, and them not even being able to hear you when you yell. So catch you all later. Have a great day, and God bless you. Thanks.